Thanks to the support as a channel member, Owen Herterich. 7 players sold, over £100 million spent. Goodness me, is it good to be back? And if you're watching this at 11 o'clock on Friday morning, thank you very much for hitting 6,000 likes on yesterday's episode. Let's keep that momentum going. Let's do another 5,000 on this episode, just because it really helps me out. And I know you really want to help me out, right? Hello and welcome to part 2 of Rebuilding Arsenal. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, I am going to show you my summer transfers so far. Because of the new transfer deadline stuff in FM22, we're probably not finished our transfers for the summer, but we're also going to play our first couple of games of the season against Moneybags, Newcastle and Wolves. So let's get stuck into the transfers. We sold a few. We sold a fair few. I mean, you can already see who we've bought as well. Torre Martinez, we may as well start with who we brought in, because that's who you really care about. Torre Martinez has come in from Inter. I said I wanted a striker and a midfielder. I've gone and done it. Torre Martinez and Frank Kessie are in. There's your headlines. That's £100 million spent. Martinez on £80 million transfer, with the potential to have to pay a little bit more depending on appearances. We've structured it favourably for us, not as favourably as maybe we could have done on previous versions of FM. I think we've paid about £30 million up front, the rest of it over 3 years, plus a little bit more based on appearances. We don't actually get a full breakdown of the deal on there, do we? And then Kessie has cost us £28 million from AC Milan. Both young, both still fit the profile. We looked in the first episode at the profile of players that Arsenal have been bringing in, sort of 22, 23, 24-year-olds. Martinez is 23 and already scoring a goal every other game for Argentina. Kessie, I think, 24 and already has 40 international caps to his name. And to be fair, 28 million feels like a bargain for exactly the kind of midfield player that we needed. But as you know, we only had £10 million to spend, so to fund it, we've had to be brutal with getting players out of the club, and I've potentially had to let a few go that maybe I wouldn't have done. Some of these have perhaps gone a little bit cheaper than you would have expected them to, but it was just a case of get them out quick so I can get other players in. So El Neni has gone to Ajax for only £2.9 million. It is a significant loss on him, a player who came in at £7.5 million, although to be fair, Besiktas paid almost as much as we've just got from Ajax as a loan fee a few years ago. So we haven't actually lost a huge amount of money on El Neni. Cedric has gone to Real Madrid for £10.75 million. A profit on him after he arrived on a free transfer from Southampton the year before. Callum Chambers has gone to Atalanta. £13.25 million for him, for a player who, I like I say, I was brutal. Chambers isn't going to be a regular starter, so let's get him gone. There's no point in keeping players around that we can bring money in for, just for them to sit on the bench, which is why Eddie Nketiah's gone as well. He was probably the one that I would have quite liked to keep. We got £5.5 million for him. His contract was up at the end of the season. You saw in the last episode he wanted stupid money to re-sign his contract, so we've just moved him on and cashed in on him while we could. Pablo Mari has gone to Brighton for £12.25 million. Another player that we've made a little bit of a profit on, if you ignore the loan fee from the season before he signed permanently. Kolasinac has gone to Fiorentina, £5.25 million for him. Another player who's left the club at a profit. And lastly, Lacazette has gone to Lazio for £6.75 million. We're still paying a chunk of his wages. We're still paying £44,000 a week of his wages. But if you remember, he was on £180,000 a week. And once Martinez came in, he was like third choice striker, maybe fourth choice striker. And we just weren't going to use him. He was going to leave on a free at the end of the year. So we've cashed in now, moved him on, massively lowered the wages that we're spending on him, and got him out of the club. I'm not necessarily done with transfers there. We have still got a little bit of budget to play with after those shenanigans, and there are a couple of deals that I'm working. I tried to bring Onana in from Ajax, who's actually still suspended until October, but he didn't want to join. I offered to bring him in on loan and he wasn't interested. We might go in for him again at some point in the future, but the theory was if I bring him in, I can probably safely let Leno go, and on the understanding that Onana will be available again from October. It's just a couple of months of Ramsdale hopefully not getting injured and we'd have been fine, but it looks like that gamble's not going to happen because he didn't want to come. But defender-wise, because we are down to bare bones in defence now, once you get beyond our first choice back four, the only backup we've got at centre-back currently is Rob Holding. So we need a centre-back. And we have Mukhtar Diakabi arranged to come in on loan for the season. But I don't really want him. He's not my first choice. My first choice is Dan Axel Zagadou from Borussia Dortmund, but there's a few clubs in for him. So there's us, Borussia Mönchengladbach, Sevilla. So we will wait and see if we can get Zagadou. Zagadou comes in and again fits that profile. Young, 22 years old, going to get better. Getting him at a bargain price because he's out of contract at Dortmund at the end of the season. So he'd be our first choice at centre-back. If we don't get him, Diakabi can come in as backup. And then I think I'd quite like to do the goalkeeper move as well and bring a goalkeeper in and let Leno go. And then we've done most of the immediate changes to the squad in one summer. We've got great strength in depth up front now. I think Aubameyang is going to be my left winger, Saka my right winger. So we've got Martinez up front, Martinelli, Pepe, Balogun can cover anywhere across that front three, really. We've got Odegaard and Smith Rowe who can play in behind the striker. Martinelli can play there as well if need be. In centre midfield, we've got Kessie, we've got Partey, we've got Xhaka, we've got Lokonga, we've got plenty of options in central midfield. Maitland-Niles can slot in there as well as a bit of a James Milner-style utility player that we can slot in where we need him. And then we've got our first choice back four of Tierney, Gabriel, White and Tomiyasu. Tavares can cover for Tierney. Saka can play in there as well if need be. Maitland-Niles can play right back for us as well, and Tierney and Tavares can both play right back. And then, like I say, we've got Rob Holding who can cover at right back as well. Tierney and Tomiyasu can both play centre back as well. So it's not a disaster if we don't get a centre back in. But I'd just like one more body in there, and then Leno can be the backup to Ramsdale. And the squad is looking pretty solid. We just need it to work in action now. So we're going to start things off against Newcastle, who do have money in FM22. I know a lot of people are going to be asking that if you haven't managed to get hold of the game yet. By the way, you can order it cheap using my link in the description below. But if you haven't got the game yet, they do have money. I don't know if they've been spending yet. They haven't been spending yet. But I do know they start with a stupendous starting budget. So I think there probably is going to be some business done by Brendan Rodgers, the Newcastle manager, on deadline day or the lead up to deadline day, presumably. But this is going to be my team for the first day of the new season. We are going with the 4-2-3-1 Gegenpress-based system that served me so well in my first couple of years at Barcelona in the Barcelona save that we did at the end of FM21. Mainly because I want to test it out over the course of a season. There's been all this talk of the 4-2-3-1 Gegenpress not working long term with in FM22 because players are going to get tired, players are going to get injured. We're going into this season with a small squad. Let's see if it works or if we have to change it up because players are getting injured. So we're going with Ramsdale in goal, a back four of Tierney, Gabriel, White and Tomiyasu, Lokonga and Partey in midfield, Aubameyang, Odegaard and Saka behind Martinez up front. Kessie did arrive with a thigh injury, so he's going to miss the first few weeks of the season, but will be available to slot in as and when he gets fit. Looking down at that bench, everybody who's in the first team squad is on the bench. We really can't afford much in the way of injuries. And I think if we do manage, or when we manage to get a centre back in, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if we could get another Aubameyang, Martinelli style, can play anywhere across the front three player, just to add a little bit of extra cover in there. In an ideal world, we let Pepe go as well. I don't need the tutorial. Goodness me, I've played this game enough over the years to not need the tutorial. I'm just going to check there's no game sound on. With no headphones on, I won't know, but no, there is no game sound on. Excellent stuff. So let's get into our first match of the FM22 beta, and it is Saka, who's the first player to touch the ball for us. Although I guess you could argue that the throw-in was the first time anybody touched the ball, but Saka has won the ball back there, and we're looking for a lot from him. I know anyone who was watching my non-league to legend save last season, we've already scored a goal. It's a thing of beauty. It's going to be disallowed, isn't it? We're going to VAR. This is one of the things that supposedly is different in FM22. Sometimes VAR goals stand. Are we going to witness one straight away? We have, within 2 minutes of the first match of the end of the new game, we've seen a goal go to VAR and actually stand. That is, I mean, that's perfect. Let me know down in the comments how many of you have had that happen early on in your first couple of matches, just as SI's way of saying to you, look, it does work now. It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was hard-coded in as just a proof that they have fixed that. But yeah, what I was saying about Saka, if you watched Non-League to Legend on FM21, where I managed Arsenal at the end of that save and had a grown-up version of Saka, I arrived about 10 years in the future, and there was a lot of frustration that I was using Saka largely at left-back. My excuse all the way through was that's pretty much what Arsenal had been doing for the previous 10 years. He was a 28-year-old who was used to playing left-back. Imagine going into a team in real life and just starting to play your 28-year-old left-back who's been there for 10 years on the right wing. You'd look like a crazy person. But we've got teenage Saka here. We've got the opportunity to make him into a superstar right winger, and that's what we're going to be looking to do. Tomiyasu from the right-hand side has already been a threat, creating one goal. He's created another one. They're two very similar goals. Crosses from Tomiyasu on the right-hand side, nodded in by players arriving late at this far post. Goal 1 was Aubameyang. Goal 2 is Thomas Partey. And talking to parties, Newcastle, with all their money, ain't having one. Lovely. That pun will come up a few more times, I'm sure. 2-0 inside 11 minutes. What we know straight away, as we already knew from the preview video that I did when I had access to the alpha and used Borussia Dortmund, at its best, with everyone fully fit, the 4-2-3-1 Gegenpress works as well as it ever did. The proof of the pudding is going to be in how it goes long term, how it's working in the final 20 minutes of matches, how it's working when you start playing 2 or 3 games in a week, how it's working in February when you're 6 months into doing it 2 or 3 times a week. That's where we're really going to find out if it's been toned down or if it is still the super tactic. I know a lot of you also wanted me to try out wide centre backs, but like we said in the previous episode, unless I can bring in probably a couple more top quality starter level centre backs, I don't really think it's something we can experiment with because we don't have the quantity of players back there to be able to do it at the moment. Maybe if we bring in both of those guys that we're looking at, maybe then we could experiment with it a little bit. But for me, as someone who's used the Gegenpress a lot over the last 2 or 3 versions of the game, that cross to the far post looks like it's pretty effective so far. I'm really keen to test the Gegenpress over the course of a season. So that's certainly what we're going to be doing first. Once we decide one way or the other if that works, we might then experiment with the wide centre-backs. But let me know in the comments if you've been using it. How have the wide centre-backs been working for you? What have you been combining them with? How have you been getting them to work? Early impressions are Tomiyasu is either having the game of his life or overlapping wing-backs with players cutting in at the far post are the thing. We're saying straight away, FM22 meta, you want an overlapping attacking wing-back and an inside forward opposite him because it's worked a dream so far. It might just be, it's been one of those games, Newcastle have not got much in the way of fullbacks and we're just ruining them. But if this starts to become a little bit of a pattern, it's certainly looking like it's a huge area of threat for us. And Ben White is now trying to get things moving down the other side of Aubameyang, playing it into the path of Torre Martinez, who, I mean, he's been very quiet. The new £80 million man, we haven't needed him to have a particularly spectacular debut because Aubameyang is running the show at the moment with an effort from long range. It looked like for a second it was going to curl into that top corner. It is 3-0 at half-time. What a performance from Tomiyasu on his debut. Aubameyang looks on fire in his... I won't say his new role. It's not completely alien for him to be playing on the left-hand side. But with our new record signing coming in up front, Aubameyang is our winger this season. He is not going to play up front unless Martinez is unavailable. So he's certainly taken to that role really rather nicely. And we're 3-0 up. And I guess this is where you start to think in terms of taking the foot off the pedal a little bit. I know long-term viewers will know that I loathe the idea of stopping attacking to invite teams on us. What a goal from Saka. What a goal. But I am trying to think in terms of fitness as well. Everyone seems okay so far, but it is the first day of the season. So we will monitor things. For now, I'm just enjoying absolutely battering Newcastle. And Brendan Rodgers, if he wasn't already planning on spending a lot of money at Newcastle, I think off the back of this, he has discovered just what a mountain he's got to climb. Arsenal are already rebuilt, boys and girls. We're winning the title this year. Tomiyasu on the right again. He's been such a danger man already, and he is charging down this right-hand side again. If he can grab him, it's another beauty of a cross to Aubameyang. And there is Torre Martinez with his first goal for the club. It's 5-0 inside an hour. It is the perfect start. We couldn't have hoped for better than this. And Tomiyasu looks like a cheat code. This is absolutely absurd. I've got no special instructions on him. He is just a wing-back on attack and is having an absolute blinding game, just ruining Newcastle. And Aubameyang is in behind here, and it's Odegaard now, and it's 6. And Darlow in goal for Newcastle. He's not having a very nice time, is he? I think I wouldn't be at all surprised if on deadline day we see Newcastle go out and bring in a goalkeeper, because certainly number 6 here, you can't blame him for all 6 of them, but that one's straight at him, and it's just poor. He's just sort of pushed that into the back of his own net. We've scored 6 goals against an XG of only 1.89. We have looked absolutely lethal, and now I guess we bring a few players on and freshen a few things up a little bit. So we're going to bring Pepe on the right-hand side, even though I'm kind of looking to move him on. We may as well get him in the team and get him to run around a little bit. We're going to take off Lokonga, and Xhaka can come on for him. We're just going to shuffle the shape of the midfield around slightly to accommodate him. We'll do that. And then for my last substitution, I want to get Smith Rowe on. I guess we'll bring him on for Odegaard, and we'll just do a triple change. Make sure Smith Rowe knows that he's very much part of the plan, very much going to be involved. Poor old Joe Willock, look, on his debut as a permanent Newcastle player against the club that discarded him for £25 million in the summer, he's having an absolute nightmare of a game. 6-0, Willock's been awful. And, yeah, I mean, you just can't really complain about any of this, can you? Here is Smith Rowe. I thought we were going to go for number 7. It's a corner. Pepe with the in-swinger. Gabriel's there, and it's 7-0. Oh, I can already see the comment section now. FM22's too easy. This game has been easy, that's for sure, but I don't know if that's more an illustration of just how bad Newcastle are. I think it's probably that more than anything. I should probably drop a little bit of praise, shouldn't I? Drop some praise. And poor old Newcastle. They are trying to get an attack going again, but we've broken them here, I think. Imagine this being your first game in charge of the new club. You've got hundreds of millions of pounds to spend. You're the new manager in. You come to Arsenal, who've also got a new manager in. After the last few years that Arsenal have had, you come to Arsenal and get an absolute hiding. Beautiful. Smith Rowe now of a corner from this left-hand side looking for the in-swinger. Can't find an Arsenal share, but it's back with Smith Rowe again, and it looked like there was a bit of a lunging tackle coming in on him there, but the highlight ended and we weren't able to see how it turned out. I'm a little bit disappointed that Tomiyasu's not got a perfect 10 for this game. It's his debut. He's on a 9.8. He's got 3 assists. What more does he have to do to pick up a 10 on his debut? Martinez now has drifted over to this right-hand side. Aubameyang's looking for a hat-trick. He's played it inside to Pepe. Can he find Aubameyang for the hat-trick? It's gone back to Martinez. There's Partey. It's his second of the game. It's 8-0 now. I wasn't expecting. Well, yeah, bearing in mind there's only one new player in this team, I do have to question what Arteta's doing in real life, because clearly this is the greatest group of players that have ever been assembled. 8-0. Let's see if that was a one-off or if we can do it again to Wolves. But it turns out transfers take ages, so no development on those players we were looking to bring in this episode. You'd have to wait until the next one to see which defender we bring in and if we do any more business. And as you can imagine, no changes to the team either, because I don't know if you remember, we did quite well against Newcastle. So let's see if we can do quite well against Wolves as well. An unchanged side. Rule number 1 is things you shouldn't do with a gegenpress, I think. But you know what? We won 8-0. I think these 11 have justified holding on to their selection for one more match. And let's face it, we're operating on such a skeleton squad that it's not like we've got many other players we could bring in anyway. I guess Smith Rowe could come in, Xhaka can come in. That's about it. We don't really have oodles of players who can potentially come into this side. Right, Martinez to Lokonga, and now Aubameyang playing it into Martinez. What a goal! Oh, what a goal. It's 1-0 to Arsenal. Get used to hearing that. I just invented that now. Get used to hearing it, because we are just a good football team. The question is, with the high tempo system that we're playing, are we going to be able to keep it up? And obviously when we play against anyone who's any good, are we going to be able to keep it up as well? Because as much fun as it is spanking Newcastle and then hopefully going to beat Wolves. In fact, forget everything I'm saying. Wolves are playing with a wide centre-back on either side. This is your opportunity to see the wide centre-backs in action. So they've got the five, what would you call it? It's a 3-4-3, 5-2-3 kind of deal with Dendoncker and Bowley both playing as wide centre-backs with the wing-backs outside of them. You would think that would cause us some problems. It was certainly, you would expect it to pin Tomiyasu back a little bit more than in the last match, but he's still the best player on the pitch. 7.4. Our overpowered right backs back. Those of you who've been around on the channel for years and years and years will remember Vladislav Lazarov from my Ipswich save, I want to say, on a like FM17, who got like 40 assists in a season playing right back and was just the best player in the world. One of the best new gens I've ever had. Oh, if that's back, that'll be fun. It was a dark day when they patched that, but I'm all for an overpowered right back, and Tomiyasu is looking like one at the moment. We're still only 1-0 ahead. I'm talking as if we're just going to waltz through and win the league, but what we really need to do is grab ourselves another goal here just to confirm this victory today. Lokonga's playing it over the top to Odegaard, who's burst clear of his defender. It falls to Martinez, and Torre Martinez has his second of the game, his third of the season, already justifying the £80 million we spent on him. And we're 2-0 up now with an hour gone. It's exactly what we wanted. And I'm glancing down at my bench again, thinking, right, we've got Smith Rowe, we've got Martinelli, we've got Balogun down there, we've got Xhaka, we've got Pepe. We have got options. So we're just keeping an eye on the fitness levels of everybody. We did have a full 7 days rest between the two matches. The games coming thick and fast hasn't started yet. And of course, with Arsenal not being in Europe this season, they're never going to be massively frequent. So we can hopefully use that to our advantage. Martinez has got a hat-trick. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. 3-0, 2 goals in 3 minutes for Martinez now. And Torre Martinez is looking worth every penny of what we've spent on him. It's a lovely ball over the top from that man Tomiyasu again. Aubameyang gets in behind, cuts it back to Torre Martinez. 3-0, 4 goals for the season for him. And now we can make a few substitutions because this is job done for the second time in the episode. Saka looks like he's ready to come off, so Pepe can come on for him on the right-hand side. We kind of want to rotate around resting players. I think we take Martinez off as well. Martinelli can come on for him. Who else did we take off in the last game? I think we'll take off Partey and bring Xhaka on. And again, just shuffle that mid. Can Xhaka do box-to-box? He kind of can. We'll leave him in there as a box-to-box midfielder. He can just come on as a straight swap for Partey. And we just, if we rotate who we're bringing off, hopefully we go a long way to keeping everybody fit. The problem is likely to be Aubameyang. If we do end up with loads of money left over, Aubameyang is 32, and I don't know if he can gegenpress all season long out wide. And if he can't, we don't really have anyone who's going to slot straight into that role. I guess Smith Rowe can come and play there, but he's a very different kind of player to what we get with Aubameyang. So I'm still thinking in terms of there's multiple signings I'd like to do, but I think we've had a pretty solid start there, haven't we? We're top of the Premier League, 11 goals scored. We've got the top scorer in the Premier League, the 3 best players, the 2 of the 3 best assist makers. Oh, and we've kept 2 clean sheets as well. Well, we'll take it. We'll have that. And we'll be back 4 o'clock today when we'll have done the rest of our transfers and played a few more matches. And we'll see how we're getting on. If this continues, when's the first time we play anybody any good? We'll probably come back for that. Manchester United, Man UFC. On that topic, things like badges, club names, competition names, stuff like that. I know there'll be people saying in the comments, Curve, why haven't you modded the game yet? I never do in the beta. I'll try and mention this earlier in a video because I know not everyone watches to the end. But I never mod in the beta because if I get a bug, and then you report it, it's difficult for them to establish whether it's the game that's bugged or the mod that's bugged. So I never mod the beta. I will be modding the game when I start my full save on the 9th of November, though. I would recommend you don't mod the beta either. I know it's not great playing with these logos, but you can cope with it for a few weeks, surely, just for the sake of making a more solid game when the full thing comes out. And of course, make sure you are using the report bug button and logging any bugs on the forums if you do have any. I mean, should I be logging that 8-0 win as a bug? I'm looking at it now thinking, maybe. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Remember, we're looking for 5,000 likes again on this video just to keep the momentum rolling. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and thank you very much for watching.